Hi, and welcome back. I'm Kyle, and this is Steve Patrick, owner and developer of Patrick Mouthpieces, and is a Nashville-located studio trumpet player. Steve, how are you doing today?
Great. Thanks, Kyle.
Good. Thanks for sitting down with us again. Today we're going to talk about a very specific kind of player. If you find yourself playing in a top 40 band, or in some sort of a wedding band, or funk bands, or any of those kind of bands that's being asked to play a lot of popular music or things like that, and you're looking for a mouthpiece that'll somehow make whatever it is that you do a little easier, something that'll give you a little bit more endurance, something's wrong with your current equipment that you're looking for kind of a solution, we're talking to you today. So stay tuned, and we're going to ask Steve a couple of questions regarding what mouthpieces he uses for that kind of work, and then kind of point you in some directions of what might work well for you. Steve, can you talk about what specifically Patrick Mouthpieces has within their line, classical, commercial, whatever it might be, that might help a player experiencing those kind of demands on the daily?
Sure. This is actually home base for me. This is kind of where I started, messing around with when I was even in high school, because you're playing lead in a big band, that kind of thing. So you're playing commercial in a pit. Orchestra or big band, or when I started working, it was a wedding band, top 40 band, those
Right.
types of things. So and now it's the smoking section that I play with a bunch. So what you're looking for is usually jazz band aside. Jazz band, you just need a good sounding commercial mouthpiece. These other bands, they kill you with stage volume and electronic instruments that they can just turn it up, and you can't just do that with your chops. I wish we could.
Right.
So this is my version of how do you turn it up? How do you get to where you can project, stay relaxed, have a lot more endurance, have a lot more range, without taxing yourself to the degree that you just can't play.
Right.
Now, not only is that important for that night or that gig, but it's also important if you have something the next morning, because if you want to beat yourself up the minimal amount.
Right.
So we can talk about several different styles that are in the Patrick line. Yeah, I can go through the pieces that I use on that type of gig.
Yeah, and that might actually be kind of helpful for us to discuss exactly kind of, if you're playing this gig, are you going to play the whole gig on the same mouthpiece? Do you have your kind of like one size fits all mouthpiece? Or maybe as the sets go on, maybe do you migrate to something different after the first set and the third set and the fourth set? Where do you kind of see yourself as a trumpet player, navigating those waters and kind of having the same problems that all the rest of us have? What would you do in those sort of situations?
That's a good question. I remember back when I was 10, the first time I saw Maynard and his band, and I was actually close enough to see some of the guys switching mouthpieces on the set. And I always been taught, from my teacher, you play one mouthpiece.
Right.
This was at the beginning of me playing. And it's like, just pick a mouthpiece, stick with that, And it was funny because as I went along through my younger life and started my career, all the teachers played one mouthpiece, and all the people that played for a living nonstop, they played a ton of different mouthpieces.
Right.
But anyway, I tend to play, they all have the same drill size.
Okay.
Actually, they kind of have that. I have a 28 in the top and a 27 in the backbore, commercial backbore for all three of the mouthpieces that I'll use. But one has kind of a medium V cup.
Okay.
The other one has a shallow V cup, and then the other one has this, and they all have the same rim. But my shallowest one has no bite, so it's kind of like a Maynard mouthpiece. It's not the greatest for really perfect Jerry Hayes style, intricate playing where there's a lot of articulation and things like that. But if you just need to last and make it through the last hour of the gig and you're just shot, sometimes I'll go to that on the smoking section.
Sure.
But
sure.
Let me play the same lick. You probably won't be able to tell much difference with the phone microphone. But
We'll give it a shot and see.
so that's my medium.
Okay, that's your medium.
So that's my SP3. But
Okay.
this is a flat rim contour. So if somebody was saying, I play a 5C normally.
Right.
I would tell them, get one size smaller in this shape. So go to a 7 inner diameter. So in my line, I would say that would be an 84. So let's say I like a lot of support and I like a flat rim. That would be the FR, flat rim, 84, which is around a 7 inner diameter. M would be medium cup.
Gotcha.
FR 84M in a 2-piece where you can take the top off and have it backboard. All right. So this is my SP2, which is more like a shallow cup. So if you labeled this and you said, okay, I play a 7C, I play a 5C, I would tell you, go to a 7 or maybe even one size smaller, maybe 2 sizes smaller than your classical setup for your shallow cup. And so, you know, that would be an, the 7 would be an 84, but the 10.5 would be an 88. So let's say I want a flat rim contour. That'd be an FR 88S. S for shallow.
Gotcha.
2-piece, you know, the backbore separated. This particular one has a reeve sleeve, which we can sell with our mouthpieces as well. And let me play the same thing on this. Let's play the exact same thing. So not the greatest playing, but you get the idea. The low register on a V cup is much bigger than a shallow cup, bowl-shaped cup.
Sure.
Because you still have a little, because it goes straight down and then over.
And cuts in.
Because of that shape, it's getting a little room for your chops initially at the top of the cup. Now, it's still a very shallow cup. There's not as much cup volume as a bigger mouthpiece. But where you do have the volume is at the top. So if you think that you can't play on a shallow mouthpiece, give these a try. Start with the medium cup. Go to one size smaller than your classical setup. And that's what I'd recommend, because that gives you just a little bit more room. You know, some people have said, well, I played an old jet tone and I couldn't last on that. Well, those old jet tones, they kind of went like this into that throat area right here. And so because of that, after a few minutes, 20 minutes, you kind of fell in because you didn't have the resistance. Now, initially, somebody might say, man, that is just too tight. Because they're not used to that tight. But the tightness is your friend, because that's going to keep you from falling in half an hour from now, an hour from now, 2 hours from now. That's where you can learn to lean against the resistance and really relax. One other mouthpiece I play if I'm really in trouble or if it's just super extreme. This has a 30 drill. So the problem with this, I can switch between those two models easily. SP2, SP1, the shallow V cup, medium V cup. Same backbore, same drill, same rim. You can do that, or a rim within one size of each other, but the same contour. The problem comes when you pick this guy up, because this has no bite. So it does not have any room at the top. It's a different way of approaching playing, and there's no bite at all. You start bottomed out. So everybody's like, well, I have problems. I bottom out. You start bottomed out. You have to play bottomed out with this mouthpiece. So to get that resistance, it actually feels more open with the 30 drill than it did with the 29, 28, 27 2-piece. Tried it in a bunch of different ways, all the way from 25 drill to 30. 30 made it the loudest, gave me the most endurance, gave me the most range up top. Same shape backbore, the commercial backbore. And this is only available as my personal mouthpiece. But we could do a custom for somebody if they said, okay, I play an 84M, and I play an 88S, a little bit smaller for the S cup, brings that inner diameter in to give you more support. And that's something I don't know I spoke a lot to, but if you're going to go to the shallow cup, you can do the same inner diameter, and that's fine. But it's not a bad thing to try one size smaller inner diameter with the same rim profile. But when you get to this, let's say you play an 84M, an 88S. Maybe take the 88S rim profile that you like, and we can put it on this for you and make it a one piece with 30 drill.
Cool.
We haven't done that yet. I've never said it any place, so we'll see if people want that.
Sure. Right.
That gave me a massive head rush.
You'd be okay?
Yeah, I'll be fine.
Okay.
Really. Are those your stars or my stars?
Those are yours.
That's my star.
Yeah.
Really. Again, head rush.
Right.
It's hard to talk about and then play that stuff.
But you've got the support to get there, right? It's a different feeling. It's a different sensation.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a different setup, and it takes some time to be able to do that. One last thing I should mention about this setup, if people, like let's say you're playing lead in a jazz band, and it doesn't have to be perfectly clean all the time, but it has to have a lot of personality.
Right.
You just have to have that upper range. You have to have that endurance, and you can play on this one morning. These I can switch back and forth, but switching from this back to either of these, that gets pretty dicey. And switching from this to a classical mouthpiece, don't even try it.
Yeah.
If you need to go back to classical playing literally in the same, half an hour or something, you're going to be toast. Don't go there.
Right.
If you're truly playing a wedding band and you're just beating your face up and the electric amps are killing you and it's hard to hear, you're going to want to learn to lean up against that resistance and not overextend yourself. And I talk a lot about finding that resistance on my fundamentals series and lessons with studio musicians.
Gotcha.
But two-piece model for anything like that.
Yeah.
So if you're going to do the medium cup depth commercial mouthpiece or the shallow cup depth commercial mouthpiece, that's the V cup.
Okay.
For the flat rim, the comfort rim, or the round rim, for all of those, I would definitely recommend that in a two-piece.
Okay.
Okay, and I would personally, I'd recommend the commercial backbore, which I call the CM backbore.
Okay.
Those all have the 27 drill, but the tops are all going to have a 28 drill stock. And people are like, well, why wouldn't I just get a 27? That'll feel more open, and it doesn't. The 28 going to the 27 creates that stair-step bore, and it feels like you've got a little bit of resistance, but it feels like you can push through it just a little bit without kind of becoming unbalanced.
Right.
The 27 feels tighter than the 28 on the top and the 27 in the backbore. And I tried this with everything from 25 up to 29. Messing around with two-piece, messing around with one-piece. And truly that stair-step bore, I would say if somebody's really used to playing huge, big-throated stuff, you might want to drill both of them out so that your top is a 27, the backbore is a 26. But
what else you got?
So the Z mouthpieces are best set as a one-piece. Almost always when I'm talking to people about commercial mouthpieces, I tell them to go with a two-piece commercial mouthpiece. We can talk about that in a second. The Z mouthpieces perform better as a one-piece. They have a 28 drill, which a lot of people immediately discount and they say that's just too tight. But you have to realize that they're balanced with the backbore shape and flare. So the Z models that I have, I believe I have a 1.5, a 3, and a 5.
Okay.
Okay. Now we also have a 75, 78, and 81 available in a flat rim, a rounded rim, and a comfort rim. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a second.
Right.
But those are the Z models. They're available in those configurations. And what is a Z cup? The Z cup is kind of loosely based on one of the 2,000 mouthpieces that Doc Severinsen played on in his career at some point, probably in the 70s.
Okay.
Is what I took that from, and I tried to get just a really comfortable rim shape, and it started off as like somewhere close to a Bach 5 rim inner diameter.
Okay.
It's obviously not a Bach anything,
Right.
but when you're just talking about size to get in the ballpark, that's about what it is. I found that it worked really well going bigger. Okay. So the cup shape stays similar. the drill size stays at 28. The back bore stays the same, and the back bore is the same shape as my commercial back bore and my classical back bore, but it's right in the middle. It slots right in the middle, and it works great with that drill size as a one piece. If you want a bowl shaped cut that is good for playing shows or different things, or pops concerts, but or maybe you're just in a section, but it's commercial,
right?
Commercial section. The Z Cup is a great mouthpiece for you. 1.5, 3, 5. Think those three sizes in all of the different rim profiles that Patrick Mouthpieces offers.
Sure.
And the Pop series.
What is the Pop series? Is that new to Patrick Mouthpieces? What's
Yeah,
going on with that?
it's new in 2021, basically, last part of it. And we really haven't talked about it much. I haven't. There's no mouthpiece descriptions on it yet. But the Pop series is, it's similar to that comfort rim design. It's maybe a little bit more supportive than that, but not much.
Okay.
It's not a big donut on your face.
Sure.
It's not excessively round. It's not excessively flat. It's just kind of middle of the road comfort level. And I used it for me to get a good E flat trumpet mouthpiece. So it's mostly a bowl shape, but I would say there's a little tiny bit of an aspect of V hybrid kind of thing about it.
Sure.
But it's a medium shallow bowl.
Okay.
That's the best way to describe it, but it's not going to look like another manufacturer's medium shallow bowl because it's not perfectly a bowl.
Yeah. Okay.
And for the classical line, which we're not talking about classical mouthpieces, but since it's offered in both, just to clear up any misconceptions, I make it in a one piece with the classical back bore.
Okay.
And I think I do a 1, 1.5, 3, 5, 7, 10, and maybe 10.5 is the smallest.
Okay. Sure.
For commercial players, I recommend that in a two piece because it has a 28 drill in the top. And I recommend you pair that with a commercial back bore.
Okay.
A little bit more resistance, but a bigger hole. So a 27 drill in the back bore, 28 drill in the top, but the tighter commercial back bore. That gives you a little bit more resistance, a little more zip.
Sure.
And for guys that truly, and gals, keep on saying that, for people that can't play a V-shaped cup.
Right.
That's what I would recommend for them. You know, you've got a long night of playing, a lot of rangy stuff. You need endurance, you need range. You need some cup volume because you have thicker lips or you just can't play a shallow mouthpiece. This is the mouthpiece for you. So that's the Pops.
Okay. Right.
You're just trying to get through the gig.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah, and definitely having the right tool for the job. It's something that you talk about a lot in some of our other videos too. Yeah. If you're a weekend warrior, if you're playing in these top 40 bands, if you've got these demands and you're on the 9th, 10th, 12th set of the night, whatever it might be, and you're looking for a little extra help there, go ahead and check out the Steve Patrick line here. You can go to patrickmouthpieces.com. There's a bunch of description videos of the exact mouthpieces, as well as just more information and more content to help you get informed about these kind of things. Steve, thanks so much for all that information. I think that's a lot to sort of digest and to kind of help these people. If you have additional questions, you can actually email this guy right here. He'll do his best to get back to you and to try and get you kind of on the right fit for the playing demands that you have. Thank you so much, Steve, for sitting down and helping us all out today. We'll see you guys next time.